Hello. So today I'm going to show you a few basic ideas around clay, but I would like you to drop any ideas that you carry about clay, any judgments, because this time it's going to be different. So just be open about it. I think clay is a wonderful, playful material. It's very forgiving, you can change your mind, it's malleable. And I've set up the space so that there's a candle, as we often do, and a little bowl of water. And just these are optional extras. You might want to find a few objects that have something that is going to be easy to imprint. Could be as simple as a key, a fork, a couple of sticks. But you don't need any of those either. You can actually just use your hands. The wonderful thing about clay is that if you do get it on your clothes, it washes out very easily. So cutting it off a bigger piece, you just use a piece of fishing tackle. And in the same way, if your piece, after you've been working with it, gets stuck on a surface, so I've got this little board, but you could use a plastic tray from your kitchen. So let's say you've been working on a sculpture and it's sort of really stuck on the board. What you do is you just take the fishing tackle and hold it taut and drag it underneath as close to the board as you can, and that will release the sculpture off the board, leaving a funny little imprint there. So before you do start though, once you do have a quantity of clay, which is roughly 1.5 kgs, I would say, 1.3. You can use the kitchen scales to measure it if you want to. The clay that comes out of the bag has a lot of air pockets in it, and if you just use it as it comes, you'll find that your sculpture is flopping over. So the thing to do would be to just throw the clay, maybe on the floor or on a table, and it's going to make a great big bang. Let me do it on the table. And it's quite a nice way to start. You just get rid of any kind of pent-up frustrations that you have. So boom, and you just keep on turning it over, and this will allow all the air pockets to be pushed out of the clay and to make it into a more dense consistency. So once you've done that, you can actually mold it back into a ball. We always start with a ball, and especially as we are exploring the theme of interconnectedness, I think a ball, the oneness of this sphere, is a nice idea. So the way I would suggest that you work is that you push and pull into the ball of clay rather than attaching and sticking on random, bits. So the additive way that some people use, I will show it to you. But I personally find it a little bit, unnecessary. So let's say I've made a little something out of this, a little bird or whatever it might be. And I would like it to sit on this, to perch here. So what I would do is I would take something like a fork and just score the surface that will receive it, and then also score the little object itself, and put a little dab of water, which is your glue, and then stick them down. So the rough edges will help this little bird stick on. If you don't do it properly, then when the sculpture dries, you'll find that the arms and the legs or whatever you've stuck on will drop off, which can be quite disappointing. So that is why I recommend that people just work from the from the whole, from this beautiful sphere that is, when you think about it, it is a piece of earth, and that thought brings a sacredness to what you're going to do. And it's interesting that there's been studies from Cornell University in recent years that basically the new idea is that life didn't start in water, it started in clay. And that really chimes with all the mythologies and religions, like Adam, who was, according to that story, was made out of clay. So even the name Adam comes from Adama, which is the word for earth. So here today, we have all the elements. We've got fire, we've got water, earth, we've got air, and you're going to basically be creating space within this ball. So the two, it's very simple. There's no great kind of technique attached. The two basic things with the clay is you'll either be working with the idea of a cave, something that has a bit of a hole, a concave shape. So you can carry on working into this hole and even give it a different shape if you want. You can give it lips. It's so lovely to work with clay because you can change your mind. If you carry on digging all the way through, you will end up with a tunnel. There's my finger sticking out, and so now we have light coming through. It's a little window, and that can have a shape to it. So that's the basic one thing. You can work with a cavity, or you can work with a protrusion, with a convex shape. So something that's sticking out. So that also could be, you can carry on squeezing and pushing and pulling, and you can form anything. And then that long protrusion can also be shaped. It can be made to taper out. It can become an arm or tentacle or whatever you want. That's the two basic little things that you see. We're scared that it's going to break, but it's so elastic and so malleable that you can get it to do all sorts of things. And then what I love about clay is that how, the imprints, we leave imprints on everything that we make, but with clay especially, we can leave beautiful marks from our actual hands and our fingers. And we can also change our minds about what something is going to look like. And then you can have a smooth surface like this next to a textured surface. So you could take some kind of tool and create a texture. You could also, if you wanted to, you could stick little objects in the clay. You could stick sticks, quills, feathers, because we're not going to be baking this in a kiln. So it gives us more options to be playful. And then the other thing I'd like to just bring your attention to, apart from all these possibilities, the windows, the light coming through, the cavities, is the surfaces, the planes. So can you see that here you have a flat plane which is meeting a concave dip here, and then you have this edge, and you could decide that this edge can be shaped either to a sharp point, or you could actually indent it Or you could actually make a new plane, which would be like the top of a wall. So something like this little edge here, which has its own thickness. So you get the idea. So basically, I don't think there's very much else to add except to encourage you to be playful, to allow the clay to have a mind of its own, because if you work in an open way, you will suddenly discover that something has formed that you weren't expecting, and it might be very exciting.